Hey everyone, and welcome to another Kinsta Talks episode. My name is Marcel Bootsman, and I'm the Partnerships and Community Manager for EMEA. And today I have with me in the call Rian Rietveld. Rian is a longtime contributor to the WordPress project and has recently started to document all things accessibility in regards to WordPress in her own project. So Rian, welcome to this Kinsta
Thank you.
Talks episode. Very
Thank
happy to
you.
have you here again. So, if you would please introduce yourself a little bit more than what I just did to the audience, that would be great.
Well, my name is Rian Rietveld. I'm a web accessibility specialist and also a web developer. I worked for more than 25 years on WordPress and accessibility. And well, I'm starting to retire and I wanted to do something useful with my time. So I thought I'm going to start a project, a WordPress accessibility knowledge base. I do that together with Joe Dawson and also other people from the accessibility team. And I want to talk about my progress here.
Excellent. Thanks for the introduction. Yes, in previous Kinsta Talks episodes where you were the guest, we already introduced the project a little bit more. So I would invite the audience to look at those episodes if they want to know more about where this project started and how it started and why it started. And today I just wanted to ask you, Rian, what has happened since the last episode? What are the key actions you have performed with your team to increase the amount of documentation on the website?
Well, the website itself is finished. Level did an accessibility audit on the website, so it's also WCAG 2.2 AA compliant. And we started adding content. At the moment, I'm working on web forms. That's almost finished. So all the information you need about web forms. Joe Dawson, together with Amber Hines, wrote new guidelines for the accessibility ready tag. And they are now published on wpaccessibility.org, but it's only in draft. The team needs to improve it, but it's already published. They worked really hard on that, so that's an excellent piece of work. Now we have like a lot of content. I want to take a step back and look at the organization of the content. Is everything findable? Is it easy accessible? Can people find what they are looking for? In the Dutch community, we have the Frontiers. That's a front-end guild, and people from the Frontiers looked at it, and they did like a user audit on that. I got really good feedback from them how to organize the content better. So I'm going to work on that when the web forms are finished. So it's step by step and it's growing. So it's going well.
That's nice to hear, and that's very valuable that the Frontiers people actually looked at the website you are building and the content you are putting on that website from a user perspective. That would really help you, and all the feedback you got there would really help to, well, take it to the next level, to say it in popular terms, to get this website more used and easily accessible for people to use the documentation and actually use it in their projects. That's really good to hear. The thing I want to ask about the Frontiers Guild you mentioned, consists this only of developers, front-end developers, or is it also designers that are involved in designing user interfaces, etc.?
Well, it's mostly front-end focused. And also the Dutch accessibility community is in the Slack channel of Frontiers. And in that accessibility channel, there are a lot of designers and UX people. So for the accessibility part of the Frontiers, that's a gathering of the whole web community in the Netherlands. But the Frontiers Guild is for front end, but they're really accessibility focused. So there's a great bunch of people.
Okay, so the Frontiers organization was basically focused on accessibility from its beginning already?
Yes. Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really cool to hear that accessibility is a part of the front end experts or
Yes.
specialists.
They're really focusing on that. And there are also workshops and training. about front end, but also about accessibility.
Exactly. You mentioned also that you were going to improve the accessibility of the website in terms of navigation. Do you already have any ideas of how you are going to do this, or is this something you need to discuss with your team?
Well, I already discussed this, so I'm going to make like a prototype. But the main menu must be way shorter, way more to the point, because now the main menu is really long and hard to find what you need. And there also should be like in-page navigation, like next page, previous page, and a footer with like a summary. The search is now okay. So we have a good search, but like if you are reading, then you can click to information that is related, so you can easily find related information. Well, that's something we need to improve. Now, at the moment, now it's only focused on the main menu, and you have to go through the main menu just to find what you want. And if you see that on mobile, you don't have a sidebar with the main menu, you have to go back to the menu button and click open. So that's really not doable.
I
So
can imagine.
we
Yeah.
also need like the test on mobile. How you really have an overview of everything that belongs together about a topic.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned the frontiers people. They are really the people that would access the information and see if they can use this in their project. Have you had other
Yes.
people use or check the documentation that is available on WPE accessibility.org
On
during their development
on
projects or something?
well on WordCamp Netherlands, there was like a contributor slot, like a few hours, and people looked like WordPress people looked at it. And they also gave good feedback, like, well, I really need to sell accessibility to my client or to my boss or to my colleague. Can you give good reasons why accessibility is important? Like, give one topic with all the reasons so I can read that and hand over to my boss or client. So this is why it's important. Give like good reasons. And that was kind of missing. So that was a good feedback. So we're going to add that also to the information.
I think it's very valuable because in a lot of cases, what I've heard from people that I know and meet at events and on WordCamps is that accessibility is something that is um, less forgotten, but in some cases, managers or project owners have to be convinced that they have to invest time and money in adding accessibility features to their projects, whether it be websites or apps or whatever. And I think having this on a website that says, hey, if you don't do it, this could be happening to your website or to your app or to your revenue. I think that would really help
Yeah.
convince people that they should pay attention to this and listen to these guidelines and uh, adapt them. Excellent. That's good to hear. In terms of readiness of the project, because you said you were ready to retire, or you were a little bit retired and then not again, and you're still, well, I know
Well,
you
I
a little
see
bit.
this I
You
see
don't
this
like
as a
to do
project. Like,
nothing.
it's nice to, yeah. Yeah. I just want to keep on working, like, but
Yes.
not like full time, but
Yeah.
just have a project I can work on, to keep my mind busy and not to stare outside the window all day. Because
I can
I
imagine.
have all this information in my head, so I really want to share that. And if I write everything down, that will be like a legacy. And I just can keep working on that, can maintain it, and then just as a project to keep myself busy. And I think this valuable information to share. So I think it's also needed.
It is very
Oh,
valuable information. Yeah. And
thankfully, Kinsta gives me the opportunity to work on that. Yeah.
you're welcome. Yes, yes. Rian is one of the people we sponsor for the Kinsta Community Sponsorship Program, and we're happy to continue that sponsorship for 2026. Uh, this wasn't announced, so here we go, Rian. We will
Yay.
continue your sponsorship. So, looking in terms of completeness of the whole project, is there ever a moment when you can say I'm done or we're done as a team?
I don't think so. I think we can have a moment where we say the structure is okay, all the content is complete, but the web evolves and new techniques are invented, or screen readers get better, or the way we test maybe gets more convenient in the future. So the web and accessibility and the way we use it and the way we test it, yeah, that's evolving. It's getting better or worse. So I think we need to update the keep the information, yeah, really up to date. And yeah, I think the main work is getting everything out there, and then we maintain what's there and maybe add stuff or remove stuff or update stuff. So I
Yeah.
think it's a process that continues.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to say. When you come to a point where you're done for now, when new technologies evolve, when new techniques evolve, there needs to be a team that keeps maintaining this documentation and updating or adding stuff so that it keeps being a complete reference. Are there any plans for expanding the team or thinking 5, 10 years ahead and thinking of people that contribute to this project when maybe you have stopped or
I
Joe
find
has
it so,
stopped or
yeah, I find it hard.
yeah,
Um, because when I started this, I was really naive. I think, okay, everybody can join in, but you really need to know stuff about accessibility and also WordPress to contribute. And well, there are not many people who can do that or are willing to do that voluntarily. So that's a bit of an issue. Having skilled people work for free for this project is really, really hard to find. I'm very lucky to have sponsors, but not everybody has that opportunity, or not everybody has a boss who say, okay, you can work on this. So that's a bit of an issue.
yeah, that's a
And
challenge.
I don't know how to, yeah, I don't know how to solve that.
No, that's not the goal of my question to come to an answer of this, but it is something we need to not just for your project, but for a lot of open source projects that we need to think about the continuation of people that maintain the software or the documentation or whatever open source product it is. That it's very important that people are there and people volunteer or people get sponsored to do those tasks. Okay. Well, thanks for updating us a little bit about the project. I think it's great. It looks great, and it can only get better, especially with the feedback you got from the Frontiers people, and that's really valuable. I'd like to do something new for a Kinsta Talks in this Kinsta Talk episode, and we can see this as a pilot. If it fails, I will not do it again. If it doesn't, we're going to continue doing it. Well, the only way to find out is by doing it. So we're going to do this, and uh, just a little bit explanation. I have prepared 8 statements that I'm going to speak out and ask Rian about if she agrees, disagrees, and she can add a little bit of extra information instead of just saying agree or disagree to also lift the educational value of these statements and the response. So, Rian, whenever you're ready, we're going to start with these 8 statements. Let's start with the first one. Accessibility overlays are a scam and not a solution.
Agree. You cannot fix crappy code by just some lines of JavaScript.
All right. Thank you, Rian. The second statement I've written down was a 100 Lighthouse accessibility score is a vanity metric that means absolutely nothing.
Partly agree, because if you have 100 accessibility score in Lighthouse, you did stuff right. But Lighthouse cannot check for everything. So you have to manually check also. So partly right.
Thanks. We continue to the third one. No aria is better than bad aria.
Agree. Aria can break your website if it's used wrong.
Right. Number 4. Most new AI tools to generate websites flood the web with inaccessible sites.
Agree. AI isn't that good in accessibility yet.
Number 5. You are not a senior web developer if you don't understand semantic HTML and basic accessibility.
Agree. HTML is like the foundation of the web, so you should know that.
I'm going to continue with number 6. Designers are the biggest bottleneck in accessibility, not developers.
Disagree. The biggest bottleneck is lack of knowledge, and that can be with designers, but also with developers.
Wow. All right. Statement number 7. Open source projects mostly rely on or underpaid volunteers.
True. There are many people that feel really responsible, and they do the work even if they're underpaid or not paid at all, or really tiny, have really tiny bit of sponsoring.
Thanks. And we continue to our last statement, and that is, if using a feature requires documentation to explain how to use it, the design has failed.
Well, if it's a feature on a website, it should be like intuitive. People should like go from step to step without thinking, am I doing the right stuff? So I agree.
Right. Thank you very much, Rian. Thanks for all of this.
So this is all my personal opinion. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, well, thank you very much, Rian. This was really valuable. I think the statements that we did and your responses to it can really be valuable to the people that listen and watch this Kinsta Talks episode as well. So I want to thank you for your time and looking forward to the next edition to talk more about your project and how it continues to be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.